And now, direct from Las Vegas.
Welcome to Football Forecast Weekly. Each week, your host, Trip Mitchell, will introduce you to the top handicapper in Vegas, Dennis Tobler, and one of the top sportscasters in the U.S., Fred Wallen.
Today's edition of Football Forecast Weekly is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. For the best in sports betting, go to MyBookie.ag, and you can win just like Dennis, Fred, and me. And welcome to another edition of Football Forecast Weekly. Hi, everyone. I'm Trip Mitchell, off the injured reserve, and our experts, as usual, Dennis Tobler in Las Vegas. Dennis, how are you?
I'm doing great, Fred, or Trip. I'm glad to have you back off the IR. I thought we were going to lose Fred to the IR this week, so we would have been in trouble, but I see both of you have manned up, and we're going to tear down the NFL today.
Okay, and Fred, I asked you before the show your thoughts on a game in my backyard. So, Fred, UCLA visiting and getting 4.5, and you like the Utes in that one, Fred.
Bottom line, Dan Guerrero, former UCLA athletic director, is the gift that keeps on giving. He hired in consecutive order Carr, Neuheisel, Mora, and now Kelly, all of whom are not great mentors. So as much as I love UCLA sports, I actually want them to lose, and they will lose this weekend to Utes of Utah. Utes? Yes, Utes.
Well, you know, the University of Utah pays a pretty good stipend, and any Ute Indians, Native Americans, to be more politically correct, can go to Utah on a full scholarship. So that's a nice bonus out, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no question. And again, let me just say, if we're talking on a serious nature, DTR Thomas Robinson may not play this weekend from the injury from last week. So of course, without him, they have even less of a chance to win the game.
Okay. And Dennis, thanks for picking up you guys doing it without me. I was told that doing a sports show on a couple painkillers probably wouldn't be good for the listening and viewing audience. So I took a pass. So Dennis, you've got some thoughts you wanted to lay out before we get started.
Yes, I hope you're feeling better too, Trip. I mean, it's tough to go 17 weeks without something coming up along the way. So welcome back. Anyway, yeah, we are into week 8 in the NFL season now. So we are headed into new territory. And by this point in time, we've kind of discerned there's 5 top teams and 5 or 6 really bottom low teams. This week, we're looking at another fuller schedule with only 2 teams, the Raiders and the Ravens, being on bye week, which is a good deal for most people. But there are 4 double-digit favorites again this week in the NFL. So good luck trying to do this on your own. I think we've got the information to help everyone out. I do want to make a small mea culpa about the Raiders. Okay, I have underestimated the Raiders the entire year. Last week in my 4 $1,000 contests here in Las Vegas, I went 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, and 3-2. Each of those losses was because I picked the Philadelphia Eagles over the Raiders after the Gruden debacle. Well, I seen a Raiders team come out and completely surprise me because they just blew the doors off of Philadelphia. And who is Philadelphia anyway? So in my way of thinking, I have lost 4 selections on my contest because I was wrong on a Raiders game. So I want everybody out there to know that even professionals lose once in a while, and being overwhelmed with information can sometimes be too much of a problem, because the Raiders beat Philadelphia without cornerbacks, without an offensive line. They just have Derek Carr and a great new head coach. So I think the Raiders are for real. And I'm glad they have the week off because I don't have to consider them in the contest now. But I just want everybody to know that you don't win all the time, no matter what you think you know about this sport. But you must stay to the truisms of the handicapping, or you're not going to win at all. So there's a good example of what can happen. And I hope I don't lose $1 million contest because of the Raiders being in Las Vegas. I must add that I faded the Vegas Golden Knights the first year, the entire year, and they went to the finals of the Stanley Cup. So there have been some times when I have been wrong, very few, but I'm catching back up now.
Okay, nice to admit it. And Dennis, I'm going to ask both of you guys that. So we're into week 8 of a 17-week regular season. Your biggest surprise on the positive and your biggest surprise on the negative. Dennis, go ahead.
Oh, wow, that's a catch me question. Biggest surprise to me is probably how terrible the Chicago Bears are. I mean, I thought they'd be much better. And they were one of the teams that came in here and beat the Raiders, if you can imagine. So, I think they are one of the worst surprises. I don't like their coach. I don't think their coach is any good at all. He has taken the play calling responsibilities away from himself, but still doesn't matter. He's got that rookie quarterback out on a limb all the time, and they just don't know how to make any adjustments. So I'm kind of surprised Chicago's not better than they are.
And on the positive side, the popular pick is Cincinnati, who's at 5-2, is a big surprise. Any other teams out there that are overperforming?
Well, I'll leave it to Fred. I think Cincinnati's overperforming. There's a lot of them underperforming. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are an incredible team. Tom Brady's an incredible leader, incredible quarterback, the best that ever played. He passed 600 touchdown tosses for his career last weekend. And he's 44 years old, and I don't see any quarterbacks playing any better than him, and only Derek Carr is playing as well as him.
Okay. And Fred, your biggest surprise on the plus and your biggest surprise on the negative, I should say, through week number 7 into week number 8.
Well, I think Josh Allen is only getting better week after week. And a funny thing at USA Today Sports Weekly, they've ranked the Bills 7. I don't think there are 6 teams right now playing better than the Buffalo Bills, even with that loss a couple of weeks ago. But I thought Josh Allen was good. He's better than good. I mean, he's one of the top quarterbacks in this league. And just off the numbers thing, when we were following sports as kids, if a quarterback hit 55%, he was doing well. Right now, we've got about 6 of them above 70%, with Murray leading the way at 74. I think that's astounding what's happening in the National Football League. If you like passing, you got to love that. From a negative side, obviously the Chiefs. I mean, Mahomes gets engaged and they can't win. And he got hit so hard last week. I thought, honestly, it could be very, very serious. Yet he could have come back in, but they were losing so badly, Reed didn't put him back in. Obviously, the Chiefs, to me, the biggest surprise from a negative point of view.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, and Dennis and Fred, they were making a bunch of changes on the offensive line because obviously in the Super Bowl last year, that was catastrophic. And those changes have not come together. So you combine that with a bad defense and Mahomes really struggling, and his receivers are not getting open in the deep quarters. So those two things, he's, in the past, Mahomes would scramble around and find Hill or someone deep and be able to make a miraculous play. He doesn't seem to have that ability anymore. And, Dennis, you're not the biggest Mahomes fan.
No,
so.
I just have to say it one more time, guys. These guys come into the league and they're a flash in the pan until they figure out how to stop him. They figured out how to stop Mahomes. Go in there and knock his head off. Okay, that's how you stop Mahomes. And they have done that, and that's how he'll be stopped. All these quarterbacks are in the same situation here. The coaches will put them in there. If they can handle it, fine. But I haven't seen any quarterbacks that can handle the situation except for the old ones like Carr and Brady. The rest of them, and what Fred mentioned about the pass percentage is a very important thing because they all play shotgun now, and they all go to the pass as a running play option, a short pass, a screen pass, a flanker pass, or something like that, when really it's taken away from the running game. There are no fullbacks very much in the NFL any longer. There's just one running back. So it has turned into a passing game, a high scoring game. And when was it 2 weeks in a row you see double digit favorites on the NFL board like we have now? That's all because of that.
That's a good point. Well, let's get started with the week's games. And we'll start on Sunday. First game on the board, Buffalo Buffalo hosting the Dolphins. Buffalo minus 13.5, my number, and 48.5 total. Dennis, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think Buffalo will blow them out. I mean, they're coming off a week's rest. They were upset the game before their week, so I suspect that they're a little perturbed. Miami stinks. They're one of the bottom 3 teams in the league. And I look for the Bills to blow them out, score 40-some points in this one. And I'd lay the number on this one. It may even be a contest pick. I think the Bills are one of the best teams in the league. If they can just figure out how to finish off a game, they should be unbeaten, but they're not. But maybe they'll improve that much more before the end. I'm taking
Fred?
the Bills.
Fred?
Well, Dennis, of course, is correct that the Bills will win the game, but I'm not giving 2 touchdowns, so it's I'll pass as far as the game. You want to bet it straight up, whatever the case might be. If you want to bet it from that perspective, you probably have to give 600 or 700 for 100. But the Bills are going to win. Miami again. Tua didn't play horribly last week. Not his fault. They're just not a very good team. They're just they're not easy to watch, to tell you the truth. So it's Bills will win, certainly with the time off. That can only help them. And hopefully nobody will have COVID at that moment, and the Bills will win the game easily.
Okay, I'm going to keep it right here with you. We've got the Panthers at the Falcons. Atlanta -3. That's an amazing number, and a 46 on the total. Who do you like in this game? Atlanta, Carolina.
There's problems as far as Carolina is concerned. Darnold has not played as well the last part of the season as he did the first 3. So, he may not even, who knows who's going to start on Sunday in this one. Ryan, on the other hand, is playing well. So I think you have to lean toward the Falcons in this game. And I think I'd go with Atlanta to burn the Carolina Panthers.
Okay. And Dennis?
The number -3 and 46 has opened and stayed there. Nobody cares about this game. Fred's right. The quarterbacking in Carolina has stunk. So has the clock management. Their defense is pretty decent. However, Atlanta does have Matty Ice, who can throw the ball at the end of the halves and the end of the games for some reason, and no other times. But they should win at home here. And especially with the situation Carolina has, I think they're headed down. I would fade Carolina from here on out.
Okay. And then we'll go to another game. Dennis, we'll keep it here with you. And that the Lions travel to Philly, and Detroit getting 3.5 points on the road. And the total I see is 48. Your thoughts on that game?
I cannot believe the Philadelphia Eagles are favored on the road against anybody, except for maybe Jacksonville and Houston. I mean, give me a break. They came in here to Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and they brought half of Philadelphia with them because half of the crowd was Philadelphia people. And they came in and laid an egg. Okay, their defensive front got pushed around like babies by a terrible offensive line. Whatever happened to that tough Philly defense? The Raiders put up 33 points against them. Derek's wounded ducks were landed right in the Raiders' arms. I mean, Philadelphia is a sad situation. I have to mention that before I picked the Raiders or the Eagles last week, I contacted one of my scouts, Stephen P. in Philadelphia, or Stephen R. in Philadelphia, and I asked him to break down the game for me. He says there's no way the Raiders can win. So I contacted my buddy in Southern California, Nick the Destroyer, and that's exactly what he told me. So from coast to coast, nobody thought that the people were going to lose, that Philadelphia was going to win, that the Raiders could beat Philadelphia. Nobody thought that last week. Okay, well, what happened? They came in here. The Raiders blew them out 33-22. I am completely baffled by the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't believe they're favored on the road. And here's one that Detroit's going to win. How's that? Here, I'm going out on a limb. I'm taking Detroit on the money line. I'm going to take the plus 140, and I'm going to watch them get their first win of the year.
Well, Dennis, and one thing you'd have to say is the coach in Detroit has done an amazing job. They play hard each and every week. They haven't gotten one yet, but they haven't had a break all year. This will be their break. Philadelphia
I don't know what it is in Philadelphia. Even the guy that lives in Philadelphia that reports to me doesn't know what's going on. So when that's the situation, I'm going to go with the home team dog.
And Fred, what are your thoughts?
I can't disagree. I mean, the Lions have to win at some point. They're not going to go 0-17, I don't think. The only negative on that thought would be last week they had to be sky high with playing the Rams. And again, they got off to a great start. Opening touchdown, onside kick, up 10-0, and they lose the game. But Dennis's point, Campbell's doing a great job keeping him in the games as a coach. But I think they'll cover the spread here because there's no way that Philadelphia can beat anybody at this point. They're playing horribly as I fix our camera. And no, I'm going to take the points and the Detroit Lions.
Okay, sounds good. We'll keep it right here with you, Fred. And our next game, the Titans at the Colts, Indianapolis. I show a pick. I think it started at +1, but what do you like in this game? Titans.
I like the two best running backs in the National Football League in this game, but it's too close to call. Both teams are playing well. Colts at 500 could be better than that. The Titans again have the best running back probably in the league in Henry, but Taylor is awfully good from his days at Wisconsin straight through. It's tough to wager here. I mean, it's a coin flip. It really is. This is a game that I would definitely pass on. This is a game I've got DirecTV and the Sunday Ticket and all that. This is a game I'm going to be focused on because I think it'll be that close at the end. I can see 30-27, something like that. I don't think either team's going to be able to stop the running back. So I'm going to pass as far as the winning team. If you want, I think it's going to go over. I don't think they're going to be able. Neither team's going to be able to stop these running backs in this game.
Okay, and Dennis, your thoughts on that game?
Fred was absolutely right about this game being a toss-up because that's exactly what it is. It opened a pick, and every time the Colts go to a -1 favorite, the syndicates jump in and take Tennessee, and Tennessee goes to a 1-point favorite, and somebody jumps back in and takes the Colts, and it's been that way all week. So it's very interesting to watch because there's money being thrown both directions at -1. So the bookmakers are going to clean up on the juice in this game. And I'm with Fred. It's a tough game to pick here. It's probably who has the ball last. I'm thinking Indianapolis got a boost last week from their win on the road. Before we go too much farther, too, I want to mention that Fred and I were both right on our picks last week. The Indianapolis Colts and the Seattle Seahawks, they both came in. So our best bets last week were them. And the Colts are coming off a big win there. It's going to, hopefully they don't have a letdown here. Hopefully the weather isn't a situational hazard. But Indianapolis can throw the ball a little bit better than Tennessee. And if I had to make a pick, I'd take the Colts. But I'm not going to be playing this game one way or the other. And I, too, agree on the over.
Okay,
I have
sounds good.
50.5, and I agree on the over.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, I should say. Easy for me to say. MyBookie.ag, nice enough to sponsor the show. We'll be back after the short break.
Get the latest breaking news in the sports betting world. MyBookie monitors and releases information pertaining to online sportsbooks and professional football. The good as well as the bad.
And welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly. Trip Mitchell joined by Dennis Tobler and Fred Wallen. And Dennis, before we get back into the games, let's talk about a big honor. You might have talked about it on the show last week, but Now Place Your Bets, considered by one reviewer one of the 7 best movies about sports and sports betting. And you're in some nice company with some director out of New York. I've never heard of him before, Scorsese or something. But that had to make you feel pretty good.
Yes, that's right. Major casino magazine out of Canada did a survey and found that Now Place Your Bets is one of the top 7 films in the gambling industry in the world ever produced. We're up there with Casino and Martin Scorsese. And as you said, when I notified you of the award trip, you said it does not suck to be on a list with Martin Scorsese producing a movie. So I will take that as a compliment. And yes, we're very happy with the movie. It can be seen at vimeo.com/nowplaceyourbets. Better yet, go to vimeo.com/gambling broadcast. You can catch this show and all of our shows that we have in the gambling area, in the gambling venue there at Vimeo.com/gambling broadcast. Sorry, I stuttered it out, but write it down, Vimeo.com/gambling broadcast.
Okay. And we want to let everyone know we do this show live. We don't go back and fix anything. So anyway, let's get started with an interesting game, but not really. The Rams traveling to the Texans, and the Rams laying 14.5, 46.5 the total. Dennis, your thoughts?
Well, it totals up to 48 now. Tyrod Taylor is going to be back at quarterback for Houston. Don't think it's going to make any difference. I think the Rams are a little upset. This is another one of those double-digit road favorites that I'm sure Fred can't wait to jump all over. But in my opinion, it's another 40-point winner. The Rams are going to win by 40 here. So lay the 14.5 and go to sleep.
Okay, Fred, I know you're not going to recommend a side on this, but what's your thought on the game in general and the total?
Well, again, as I talked about before the Lions, the Rams had to be high to meet their former quarterback last week. So maybe they'll be slightly down in this one as far as that is concerned. But they have so many wide receivers. And Stafford is playing better than I thought he was going to be playing. I always thought he was an above average quarterback. Right now, he's playing even better than that. So the Rams are going to win. As Dennis indicated, I don't give two touchdowns plus. But again, they've got so many receivers that if you're going to play fantasy, I usually play Kupp and Jefferson because Jefferson isn't a major high price and Woods in between. Can't do much better than that. Rams will win.
Okay, and let's talk about a game that I might make my pick of the week, but the Bengals travel to New Jersey and play the Jets. The Jets are I saw it open at 9.5. I've got it at 10 with a total of 43.5. Obviously, no one's going to bet on the Jets, but can Cincinnati handle a 10-point?
Burrow's playing as well as any quarterback in this league. I don't think there's any question about that. He's only going to get better. Young guy that he is. Chase, a wide receiver, 201 yards last week. There's no way the Jets are going to win this game. 9.5, I'll lean towards Cincinnati. If it goes above 10, my rule is I'm not betting it. But if it's 9.5, I'll take the Bengals against one of the worst one or two teams in the league in the New York Jets.
Okay, and Dennis?
Well, it's hit 10, Fred. It's 10.5 now. And I don't know where that's all coming from. The Jets have no quarterback. I did hear they're going to bring in Joe Flacco. So that
they traded for him,
quarterback. Yeah. And Cincinnati, I hear you about Burrows. I hear you about everything, but I'm not going to lay 10.5 on a team like that on the road. I'm not as impressed with them as most people are. The Jets are at home. Maybe the weather's bad. 10.5 is too many for me too, Fred. So I'm going to pass on this one.
Okay, and we've got another Rust Belt game. Dennis, we'll start with you on this. Steelers at the Browns. And Cleveland, right now I have it Cleveland minus 3.5, 42 and a hook total. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's the number that opened, and that's the numbers that are there today. And my thoughts are that Baker Mayfield is a terrible actor, and I'm sick of his commercials. And when they have him in the screen playing and then a commercial of him on the side at the very same time, I turn the TV off until it's over. I don't think Mayfield's playing correct. I don't know why they're 3.5-point favorites. They have been overhyped all year long. I'll take the Steelers plus the 3.5. The hook will win here. This will be a low-scoring game, and a field goal will get it either way.
Okay. And Fred, just a thought that Tomlin got very upset and walked out of a press conference, the Pittsburgh coach, because it was suggested that he wanted to go to USC. You're down in the hotbed of that. Any thought of Mike Tomlin leaving Pittsburgh to coach in the Pac-12?
On the Dan Patrick show, his name was thrown out there. And from there, it exploded to where he's going to get the job. I don't even know if he's been asked or even talked to or anything else. When a coach says never, never believe him, but I would doubt he's going to leave the Steelers for USC job. And I don't think USC necessarily is going to put him as the number one guy. Anyway, it just would happen to be thrown out on the Dan Patrick show, I think earlier this week. There's a lot of guys, a lot of coaches that might want the USC job. And there's a lot of interest in a lot of guys. So it'd be very, very shocking if Mike Tomlin did it. As far as the Steelers are concerned, I do think Big Ben is done. Okay. Also, Pittsburgh has beaten Cleveland 5 times in a row. So that tells me Fred's going to pass on this game. They might have something on the Browns. The Browns are the better team, even without Mayfield. But it's a game, like Dennis said, that might come down to a field goal at the end. So Fred will pass on this one also.
Okay, and we'll keep it here right now with Fred. The Bears versus the Niners. This game is in Chicago. Right now I see Chicago getting 3.5, and Chicago is terrible. San Francisco doesn't look very good. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that this is a game Bears will win, even without the points. As you just said, San Francisco is terrible. Garoppolo is not the answer. We don't know about when it's one way or the other. They're just, and obviously they've got the 49ers will have all kinds of injuries. Watching that game last week, you knew they'd find a way to lose, and they did, and they'll lose here. No, I mean, seriously, and Fields has been up and down. So this might be his up week. He played horribly last week also. 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. You can't play as bad. You cannot play that badly. He's a competitor. He'll play better here, even against a pretty good 49er defense. I'm taking the Bears to win this game.
Okay, and Dennis.
Wow. Well, that's something I'm going to have to consider because the total on the games went from 41 down to 39. Neither team can score. The home team should have a little bit of an advantage here, but San Francisco has got to be better, even with their injuries, than the Bears are. And I'm flaking out. I'm flaking out on the Bears. The Bears come to Vegas and beat the Raiders. And look at the Raiders. They're one of the top 3-4 teams in the league. So there's no reason they can't beat 49ers in this matchup. But I think I'm going to disagree with Fred just for argument's sake. I'm going to take the 49ers and lay the 3.5 on the road here. I don't think Chicago can score. I think their coach is the worst coach that I've watched try to coach a rookie quarterback in my life. And I think he's even passed off the offensive chores to a different coach because he's not that good. Nagy is his name. And I'm going to take the 49ers and lay the 3.5. So we'll have this one to brag about next week, either Fred or I.
Okay, and Dennis, next game up, Jaguars at the Seahawks. And, you know, Seahawks -3. I'm looking at 43 and a hook on it. Jacksonville, are they getting better?
Well, evidently they're getting better. I watched the Seattle game with much interest the other night, and we were so lucky to cover the spread in that game because Geno Smith is not what he's meant to be. He does not play. I think that they were afraid to throw the ball, Seattle, and we were very lucky to get out with the win in that situation. So in this game, what's the number you have? 3.
So I've got Seattle -3 right now.
Yeah, it's very interesting because Seattle started as a 3.5 point favorite, and the money's come in on Jacksonville on the road to -3, and that befuddles me. I don't think Jacksonville can beat Seattle up there, even if Geno Smith can't throw the ball. So I'm going to take Seattle and lay the 3. The worst I'm going to get out of this one's a push.
Okay, Fred.
I never liked Pete Carroll. I never will like Pete Carroll. After the game, he says, "We miss Russell Wilson," stating the obvious. You don't put it on your quarterback, in this case, Geno Smith. I agree with Dennis. Geno did not play well last week, but a coach cannot do that. We lose the team, we win as a team. They'll win this week. Smith will play better. And then Carroll will take the credit. Nonsense. And as you guys indicated, they threw a touchdown pass early to Metcalf and didn't throw a lot after that. That was not Geno Smith's calls. That was Pete Carroll's call. and they couldn't run. So you got Lockett and Metcalf and Swain at the wide receiver positions. You've got to pass. In fact, you might as well pass 80% of the time. They didn't do that. Again, that wasn't on Smith. That was on the coach. So I think they'll win here. I think Gino will play better, and Carroll will take all the credit, because every time at SC and with Seattle, anybody and his team, when they win, Carroll always takes credit. So he'll do it again.
Okay, thanks for not holding back on that one. And the next game we'll look at Patriots at the Chargers. Right now, I see New England getting opened at 5.5. I see New England at 6 with a total of 47.5 to 49. Fred, what do you think? Can New England, coming off their best win of the season, keep things going?
Well, the Chargers actually had 2 byes in a row. They had the bye 2 weeks ago when they didn't play at all against Baltimore. And then, of course, last week they had the league bye. So they're coming off basically 3 weeks of not playing. So I think, and again, last year, this is the game that ended the reign in Los Angeles as far as the Chargers were concerned of any possibility of doing anything last season when they got clobbered by the Patriots. I think the Patriots can play this close. I think Zach Jones is playing awfully well. There's no reason to assume that the Charger defense will totally stop him. So if I'm getting 6.5, I'm going to go with Belichick and his club.
Okay. And Dennis.
I think we have another disagreement on this one. The number open 5.5 went to 6. The Patriots were lucky to get a Jets team or whoever they beat last week that didn't have a quarterback, and some more players got hurt. And talk about wonderful coaches. How about Bill Belichick? Your team's lousy, so you just well run up 54 points against the second lousiest team in the league. Huh? So the 54 points, Fred has said that his great-great-grandfather, Brett Maverick, told him teams never look as good the next week as they did the week before, and that is exactly the situation here. The Patriots are going to get killed by the Chargers, and even though I don't think Justin Herbert is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns in this game, and Fred's going to come on next week and tell me again he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks. I'm taking the Chargers laying the points.
Fred, I'll let you talk about the Charger quarterback situation, because I imagine you have an opinion there.
Oh, I just think even at Oregon, you knew how good Herbert was going to be. Front page, Sports Illustrated a couple of times. Tremendous quarterback, second season. I think in a couple of years, he'll be rated among the top quarterbacks, and barring injury, he's going to go 10, 15 years of playing that well. He's just a tough kid. I have some people in the organization who I know. Apparently, he's very well liked by his teammates. There's no stopping him. I just don't think the Patriots are as bad as they showed early in the season. That's why I would take the 6.5. But as far as Herbert is concerned, I don't see any negatives at all. Tough kid, well liked, doesn't take credit, passes the credit along to his teammates. So I think it'll be a great game, and another one that I'll be watching on Sunday, definitely.
I need him to play well.
Yeah, and the one thing about Herbert is this summer he spent a lot of time communicating with his wide receivers, but doing something small and crazy. He went to a lot of his teammates' charity golf tournaments, and he's coming off an amazing rookie year, about to get paid, and he spent a lot of time, and he is very well liked in the dressing room, and that's an important. If your quarterback is well liked, that helps a lot, and he's respected. So. I'm a fan of the Chargers, even though, as was said, they did take 2 weeks off. Fred, let's go to the next one. Let's start. Actually, Dennis, we'll stay with you. And we've got the Broncos hosting the Washington Redskins, and Denver -3 right now, and I've got it at 43 and a hook.
Well, here's a battle of the nobodies. I mean,
by the way, I got corrected by my editor. Did I say the Redskins? It's the Washington football team. Yes.
Well, it didn't matter which team plays. This is a lousy game. The Broncos opened at 3.5, quickly went down to 3. Think the number will stay right on 3 the whole way. Think the game will end up a 3-point game one way or the other. I'm not giving this one to Denver. Denver has played horribly this year. The only teams they beat were 3 of the worst teams in the league. and they just can't step up and do the job. I'm really disappointed in the Denver defense. I thought it'd be much better. And I think John Elway doesn't really care about personnel. I think John Elway, as owner of the team, cares about making money. That's what I think he cares about, because he could certainly do a lot better job with quarterbacks and defensive people and everything else than he does bringing players in. How many quarterbacks has he had? I think Denver's had more starting quarterbacks in the last 10 years than any other team in the league. And Elway's the owner, GM. Give me a break, Elway. You know, you make him play, but you sure can't judge talent. So anyway, whether Teddy Bridgewater plays or Heineke plays or whoever plays quarterback position, it won't matter in this one. It's going to be a boring game, no scores. 3 points will win it for either side. So a push is the worst you get if you take Denver. So that's what I'd have to do if I was to do anything.
Okay, and Fred.
You know, you just mentioned Heineke. I'm not wagering this game one way or the other. Heineke, I've said on this show and I've said on our other shows that he's better than rated. I think he can be a good quarterback. Nobody knew about him from Old Dominion and the whole thing, but I think he's better than rated. And last week I saw something I didn't know. He's very, very fast for a quarterback. He made one like 25 or 30-yard run. I said to myself, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So he's got something else going for him. So this will be a close game, a game nobody will watch. And as Dennis indicated, the Broncos have done nothing this season that have impressed anybody. So Fred's passing on the game, but he'll be watching Heineke to throw maybe a touchdown or two from that aspect.
And by the way, Fred, while we're here with you, where can we hear you on weekends? What networks? Where are you at?
We do Sports Overnight America on, well, it's heard on all the apps. So you go to Sports Byline USA, TuneIn's where I can listen to it, and radio stations like KSHP 1400 in Las Vegas, Nevada, 10 o'clock Friday night, midnight, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Sometimes they run an extra time or two. So if you go to TuneIn and look for Sports Byline USA, you might hear it 2 or 3 times if you were so inclined on the weekends.
Okay, and speaking of TuneIn and all the great apps, we want to thank the folks at Revolver Podcast who syndicate this show on every app that great podcasts go. So if you're watching and you want to listen some other time when you're at the gym or talking with your wife at dinner, go to any of the fine apps and go to Football Forecast Weekly. And let's take a look at another game. We're going to keep it right here. We've got the Buccaneers at the Saints. The game started at 4.5, and now let's see. The Saints I've got it at 5.5. The Saints are getting at home versus Tampa Bay. What are your thoughts?
No, it's going to be an interesting week, isn't it? With all these away teams favored, some of them by double digits. It's going to be a real interesting weekend. It's going to separate the wheat from the chaff, as we used to say in the old Midwest days, where I was born.
The wheat from the weed, if you were growing marijuana.
From the chaff. The chaff is what's around the wheat, okay? And you take that apart, you're dissecting the whole thing and you eat the wheat. Okay, so this is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team in the league. I'm sorry to say, they just are. And the rules have changed over the years to the point where Tom Brady is just living in heaven. They can't hit him or they get a flag. He knows exactly where to go, where the defense is lined up. He can read the field with one glance. He can throw the ball as good as he ever threw it. And he doesn't make any mistakes. I mean, I'm not going to go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the New Orleans Saints, they won that last week, but they were lucky to win because they weren't much better than Seattle in that game. So, and I'm not sold on Jameis Winston. He'll throw one pass one way and one pass the other way. I don't think that the Saints have a chance in heck. Okay. I think Tampa Bay is going to roll on past them. This number is going to go to 6 or 7 before game time. And if you guys want to fade the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, go ahead and do it because you're going to lose.
Okay. And Fred, Winston, however, if I'm not mistaken, has only had 3 picks this year. which, through 7 games isn't bad. Do you think New Orleans has a chance against the Bucs?
No, I agree with Dennis. They were fortunate to win in Seattle last week, and they're not going to win here. And the Buccaneers are playing as well as anybody. But I would like to say this, playing fantasy, watch out for Cameron Brate this week. Brady is smart enough to feed everybody. Last week, I think remember now, Gronkowski's not playing again. Brate's a very good receiving tight end. And Brady's going to feed him this week. He's going to catch a touchdown pass or two. But the worst deal of last week, no question. Evans catches the 600th touchdown pass in Brady's career.
And gives it.
He hands it to a youngster upstairs,
who gave it back.
And then they said, "Oh my gosh!" and they got it back. And what they gave the youngster was a Brady uniform and $1,000 gift card
at the store.
Now, I'm into collectibles, sort of. I'm more into collectible cards, but I understand the industry. That pass, that football might be worth $250,000 or $500,000. So for $500,000, the guy got a uniform and $1,000. Good deal on the Bucs side, good deal on Brady's side, but bad deal on the person in attendance.
Okay,
if I would have been there.
We're going to take
and caught that ball. I'd have been running up the stairwell as fast as I could go.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to finish up week number 8. You're watching Football Forecast Weekly. We'll be right back.
Now Place Your Bets, the world's #1 sports betting film, is now available on DVD. Produced by Dennis Tobler, this Indie Film Fest winner has reached the top of the documentary list. Order your DVD today at www.nowplaceyourbets.com or stream from Vimeo today anytime. Now Place Your Bets. Watch it today.
And welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly. Trip Mitchell, Dennis Tobler, Fred Wallen. And Dennis, how do people get a hold of you if they want to get some private consultation and some help making money?
Well, we have an 888 number, 888-604-6863. You can contact us on that number and we will get back to you about all of our programs. That's 888-604-6863.
Fantastic. Okay, and let's take a look at the Cowboys at the Vikings. Right now, started at 1.5, and now Minnesota getting 2.5 at home against the Cowboys. What do you think, Dennis?
Well, I want to make one comment before I comment on the game. And that comment is that this football show is the gold standard of all of them. And I'll tell you why I know that, because before I put in my contest plays on Saturday mornings, I go back and watch our show. You would be surprised how much I get from watching this show over again. There's so much intellectual content and background and experience from all of us guys that it just turns out to be a wonderful thing. And we have won games that people would have had. There's nobody that has the record we have. Okay, getting to the game. Dallas opened 1.5, moved to 2.5. I don't know why they moved to 2.5. Minnesota, they've kind of baffled me all year. I don't think they're as good as they make them out to be. I'm going to take Dallas and lay the 2.5 in this spot. I think the Cowboys are really good. I just think that somewhere along the way they'll stumble, as all NFL teams do, and you just hope you're not on them the week they stumble. I'm going to lay the 2.5 and take the Dallas Cowboys, thinking they're more talented. The total is 55, so there's going to be a ton of scoring, and most of it should come from Dallas.
Okay, and Fred?
Can't disagree. It'll be fun to watch. Thielen on one side, CeeDee Lamb on the other. I like the Cowboys winning here. I think the number should be slightly higher, so I'll lean toward the Dallas Cowboys, even though I can't stand Jerry Jones.
Okay, and let's go to the final game of the week. The Giants at the Chiefs. Chiefs laying 10, which, if you were to handicap this game before the season, I would have figured 14 points. So 10 is a testament to the challenges that the Chiefs are having this year, not necessarily a reflection that Giants are overperforming. Fred, the Monday night game.
As I indicated earlier, Mahomes gets engaged, and now he can't engage on the field. He's doing everything wrong. Last week, the whole team played badly, but he certainly did not play like Mahomes. In fact, 2 games in a row, I've never seen him play that poorly. I'm going to give him a third chance. I really am. And again, the Giants, what can you say? The only pro football team in the state of New York is in Buffalo. We all know that. So if it's 9, I can't give 10 points, but the point is that the Chiefs will win going away. They might win by 40. I don't know, but I feel sorry for ESPN. They're stuck with I think a losing game here. It's a big market in New York for the Giants, but the point is everybody knows how poorly the Giants are playing. So feel sorry for ESPN. By the way, I did see Eli and Peyton last week for the second time. They've improved. They much better.
They are great, and they do have. Fred, you and I are career broadcasters. If you think that Peyton and Eli are not going to drop F-bombs, but have you met NFL players before? What were they thinking? Not having a 5-second delay. I mean, ESPN deserves what they got there.
I thought they had Brady on last week for a quarter. I thought the 3 of them, the 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, did a really solid job. And I've never been a Peyton fan as far as broadcasting is concerned, but they've improved since week 1. They don't do every week. I think they only do 10 of the 17-week season. So actually 18-week season. So they will be doing it this Monday because it's the Giants, and it's fun to watch.
Well, they had Drew Brees on, and my wife just stopped and said he is a star, and he handled himself. That experience of Drew Brees with a Super Bowl, the Mannings with 3 between the 2 of them. That's a lot of experience on the field, and that was fun to watch. I think this experiment has been a big hit for ESPN. And I just happened to listen to Jimmy Pitaro, the president, saying that the ESPN is very happy with this because people are switching from the Peyton to the regular broadcast and back and forth, and it just increased the share for ESPN. So, no, Fred, what are your thoughts on the Monday Nighter? Or Dennis, excuse me.
Again, the Chiefs aren't going to lose. Mahomes is going to play better, but when you're given more than 10, you're given a lot. So Fred's passing on the game. However, he will assume that the Chiefs will win one way or the other.
Okay, and Dennis?
Well, first I have to say I hate giving plugs to the Manning brothers. Number 1, I never liked their dad. I don't like either one of the Manning brothers. I don't like the fact that they got the gig on ESPN too. So you guys go ahead and watch those 2 arrogant fools, because I'm not watching them. I haven't watched a minute of it, and I never will watch a minute of it. I'm tired of the Mannings. Get them out of there. They've taken all they can take from the NFL since the 1960s. So let's enough of the Mannings. Okay. The Giants won their biggest game of the year last week, and they're going to come out fired up, and then they're going to get their ass kicked bad because Mahomes will snap out of it this week. He was embarrassed last week, and if he's able to move, because he got the crap knocked out of him, if he's able to move, he's going to blow out the Giants this week. They have to get well, and they have to get well soon, Kansas City, and there's going to be no messing around in this game. The line's 10. It stayed 10, and I think it will be 10 at kickoff time. But I'm going to take the Chiefs if I have to make a play here. The Giants are horrible, and Kansas City is going to have to make a statement now. They're in such a hole. If they don't make a statement, they're not even going to scare off the bad teams when they come around. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here, thinking it's a must blowout win for them.
And so, to get me right, with your love of the Mannings, did you watch Arch Manning play high school on ESPN last Friday night? I got a feeling you didn't watch that.
No. And the last time I watched Archie Manning play football is when the Saint fans had paper sacks over their heads because the Saints were so damn lousy. And he never won any games when he played in the NFL. I have no idea how he got in the Hall of Fame. So I think the Mannings are a little bit of whites, or little white privilege going on there, and I'm sick of them.
Okay. Well, Fred, let's finish up with you. Any thoughts to put a bow on the show for this week, Fred?
Put a bow on it, Fred.
Arch Manning is probably the #1 high school quarterback in America. So
Yeah,
it's going to continue.
Yeah,
Dennis, you got a problem.
And he turns out he's Cooper's son, the other Manning brother who got injured and couldn't play. And anyway, so we will agree to disagree on that front. Fred, as always, you're fun to do the show with. This is my favorite hour of the week. And I made the mistake of doing it from my home. And so now my wife is going to be giving me crap for the next 6 days. So thank you for helping me, Fred.
Thank you guys very, very much. I enjoy this hour also.
Yes, it was
Dennis,
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I want to say one more time, I watched this show again Friday night or Saturday morning because just listening to the whole spiel can put this thing together, put the puzzle together for everybody. And I've done very well all year long, and I'm looking to do well the rest of the year too. So I invite everybody to stay tuned to us each and every week. We'll be back again next week.
Okay, want to thank everyone involved. Lee Spencer spinning the dials and putting the show together. For Dennis and Fred, I'm Tripp, and we'll see you next week, and keep on winning. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Football Forecast Weekly, an affiliate of TSI Network.